Medina tonight.
Oh, of course.
Bryan has been a fixture in the Fresno literary community for over 15 years. A former student of California's poet laureate Juan Felipe Herrera. His poetry has graced stages all around California, including the Bay Area, Los Angeles, San Diego, as well as Kansas City, Missouri. He has been featured in anthologies, Flies, Cockroaches, and Poets, the San Joaquin Review, In the Grove, and the Fresno Poetry Collective book, Mozart Voices, as well as others. He founded the Inner Ear as a way to bring poetry in the confines of academic institutions, making it more accessible to all of us. Bryan has been awarded 2 City of Fresno commendations for contributions to Fresno's rich and cultural heritage, and we are very pleased to have him here tonight. So let's give him a warm welcome.
Hello, hello. Good evening. Wow, Modesto. Here you are. Thank you for coming out this evening. Man, thank you to the establishment for having this night of poetry between myself and Mr. Indigo. Thank you for coming out. This is great. I've never been here. I didn't know this was here until Gillian told me about it a number of years ago. And just recently we saw each other at Sam Pierstore's Slam. Yeah. And so she goes, Bryan, I haven't seen you in a long time, and I've always had you in the back of my mind. Why don't you make some time to come on out? It's like, yeah. So I had to do that. So thank you. Thank you for bringing me out here. Unfortunately, I was hoping to get a little bit more time to go through my works, but we're just going to go right at it and see what happens. When I write, I like to talk about things that are going on in our world today, and things that are happening that affect me, affect us as a people. And so this first poem I'm going to start off with, it's called Poem for Boston. And y'all remember that what just happened, about the big explosion. So I wrote something. Police cars and sirens. Men and women in uniforms rushing between the screams and looks on people's faces. As if we were back 10 years ago, I saw you yesterday. Suit covered, reeling, looking towards the sky. Could it happen again? Hold them back, the pointing fingers. Hold them back, AM talk radio and their TV cameras. Hold them back, the fear and not knowing. Where the loudest sounds to be heard this day would be seen on the faces of those in the teeming streets, running or wounded, remembering. I want to tell you, Boston, I'm sorry and I don't understand that I believe in consequences for this. I believe in judgment. I pray for the Lord to touch those who are in need tonight. I pray for clarity in these dark times. More importantly, I pray for peace. In the poetry grab bag this evening. Again, I like to talk about stuff that's going around in the world, and also the inside, what's going around, what's happening with me. And this poem, I don't want you guys to misconstrue it. I love my grandma. Okay? I'm just going to put that out there. But, no. For Grandma. I want to tell you, beloved, I was there more than 30 years ago after the fact, when Kennedy took those planned shots to the head, sending our hero into eternity, and me sitting on the knoll drinking a lemonade. thinking of my own bolt action locked in the glass case in the basement, my Glock underneath the driver's seat. The year that the San Joaquin River sat like a hard promise, and the winds from the west side of town sung like a blackened eye. Greasy hair, ashy elbows, shiny faces. We were all a mess. This is not the place for poems, mijo. There is only the season full of Fresno's heat and grape leaves, she once told me. And I can recall my 86-year-old abuela with the face like dry putty saying to me, my eyes shooting back daggers, and for a moment thought, what amazement you must have felt knowing you got one up on that bastard mulatto grandchild you didn't want nothing to do with. Maybe it was me, busted all underneath the skin, saying yes to everything I feared, whispering stories through the sumptuous hunger of wanting to get away. My regrets as tender as fingertips, my knuckles fierce against a man's jagged jaw for the river, and the river air unwavering. I want to tell you, beloved, that it was discovered on an overcast day early that morning. I was not invited nor wanted. This, my abuela says, is my fault. She, tired of slamming doors and screamed ultimatums, stolen pieces of bread where all I wanted was some more salt to pack my wounds with. My Joaquin violently swirling so that I picked up a rock and threw it at the kitchen window, wishing with all my might that rock would find her skull like that bullet to Mr. America. I'm a river from nowhere, and yes, Grandma, I will break your heart. That, by the way, was my grandma's favorite poem. So it's all good. It's all good. Who remembers Seinfeld? Yeah? All right, good deal. I just turned on the 7th, 46 years old. Yeah, that's exactly. Wow, my knees were all quivering and whatnot, And so I grew up watching the TV. The TV was my babysitter for most of my young life, and so this is a piece called Reruns, mixed in with a little. You'll find out. Reruns. Maybe it was those long hours alone with the television set. Jerry Springer in the mid-morning when Mama rose from her bed dazed and lethargic from another night of work. Slaving away at back alley sweatshops along Belmont Avenue, ingesting amphetamines in threes so she could take an extra shift for 10 cents more. Coming back home, the warm glow from the cable TV stuck between the gap of Letterman's front teeth and uncluttered cleavage from Girls Gone Wild ads. Her little girl contemplating why nobody saw Norm's wife Vera or knew Kramer's real name. Asking Mama, why can't she be like one of the family she sees on the tube? Mama answering back, honey, at 13, my life, she said, was nothing more than rusting souvenirs, broken dreams of another generation deferred, tender and lopsided as spoiled fruit. Quoting a passage from a book she can't remember. And when I die, may they pick me apart, sent to rest in unmarked graves, to lie down and forget. Forget how her father traded loud youth for silent sins in between nondescript motel rooms, the bowl of glass pipes, this incurable disease that leaves dishes unwashed, the toilet unclean, a child unloved. Let it burn to the ground. Her bowed head sinking lower than the weighted shoulders that seemed to lock her into place. Her voice breaking, eyes welling with salty contempt. Honey, we can change our names, but we can never change our faces. I've been lucky enough for the past, 20 years actually, to be in Fresno and to be a part of their poetry scene. I've created 2 shows while I've been there. One, the Inner Ear Poetry Jam that went on for, 9 years. And then we added another show, a second show called the Beatdown Slam. Anybody know about slam poetry? Yeah? No? Okay, yeah. We do a show where a poet goes against poet for a cash prize in 2 rounds, and each poet gets only 3 minutes to do their stuff. Who can move the crowd with their words and the mic, and maybe stage light, you know? And we've been very blessed to be able to enjoy other poets, other writers to come in. And so I was so glad and happy that Gillian asked me to come out here and reach out, and so we can make this one valley poetry scene, because the more poets, the more writers, the more people get involved. Instead of not communicating and not sharing ideas, now we're together and we use this to combat this. And again, thank you for listening to me tonight. I'm going to read one from my chapbook. This chapbook is roughly 4 years old, maybe a little bit older. But I have some on the table if you would like to pick one up for $10. It's all good. It's all good. Who's got mothers in here? Yeah, everybody's got mothers? Yeah. I got a mother. They're good people. They're good people. This one's for my mother who passed away 17 years ago. And it's called To Dance with My Mother. I have at one time or another been in love with my mother. This woman who smelled a freshly mixed masa with hints of aquanet, who danced as if her life was in jeopardy every time she stopped, stirring like the beating of an Aslan drum, moving, 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 moving. Oh, to be born again and again with each new movement, stripping away the cosmic fabric of the universe down to the juicy white meat. Those Aslan drums raging in my mother's mind, telling a tale through her busy dark feet. Hip hopping, hip hopping. Hold on, baby. Mama gotta flip this record over. 1 for the money, 2 for the show. You see, Mama was a dancer, a diamond-headed hammer slamming down who smelled like carnation, milk, and roses when she sweated to a beat, becoming that little girl she once was, who wore stockings and a braid down her fine brown back. There, in the middle of the floor, a pool of light, a spirit awash in sweat, moving, 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 moving. There's a story going down, y'all, they used to say when she danced. Her legs and feet pressing verses against our hardwood floor or soft earth outside, chanting to a spirit that only she could see. Lord, give me the groove to make this house move, 'cause Mama was a dancer, careening about the place in a cha-cha, a mambo, or samba, then breaking it down with the shake of the hips into a little boogie. Tito Prente, Motown. How they long to kiss your lips for the way you moved your hips, girl. Moving their passion with the music. You could see the determination. You could see where she was light. You could see where she was dark in the middle, carrying their beats on her toes. Music the river, music the flame, music of life in her veins. So yes, Mom, dance the night away, opening up the world to the cosmos, becoming that girl who used to look up in the night sky, wanting to be that star, moving, moving. You holding on to my little body when I was a baby. Your breath warm against my face. Moving, 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 always moving. I'll read another one from this. I'll read another one. I like to talk about the places I've lived at in the past. They were all different sorts of communities, from very poor to very affluent. And this one happens to be somewhere in the middle. The piece is called Under the Skin. It starts with how the windows is left cracked open from another warm night leading into a morning that's already 78 degrees, and police sirens are breaking the silence of a dead sleep, where sore-backed, blue-collar, dirt-ridden Chevy S10s and their loud mufflers mingle with the white-collar, middle-management, high-revving Beamers and Saabs sipping their latte grandes, to the walking, biking, or busing, riding the minimum wage earners, wearing their freshly laundered uniforms off to another day's pay, living check to check. Continuing later with the shrill shrieks of lawn tools from sweaty brown laborers landscaping down the street, their surly mix of broken English and Spanish reminding me of my own family. I rush double time, throw on khaki shorts, my favorite Miles Davis black t-shirt, sandals, and I'm out the door. On my way past the barber shops and hair salons, the ball courts with bent rims, faded free throw lines, brothers hoping for a good bounce to be the next Kobe, the bars with their piss-smelling side streets next door to the church, next to the projects, where Romero's 10-year-old blood muddied up the pavement like a sacrifice to the gods his father's proud ancestors once demanded. Here you will find the stench of burning, hundreds of Icaruses with their wax wings too close to an unforgiving sun, only wanting to soar where dreams are kept. My own son, battered and humiliated for features too foreign, a tongue too tangled. On that side of town, people say you can get anything you want. That hallowed place in every town that once had promise, now gone the way of a good kid turned bad. The place that they will Jew you down, jack your feria, turn you out, jap slap you, and leave you for dead, until both become unbearable bitterness and joy in blasts of subwoofer thumps from the trunk of a slow-moving car on the hood ride. Drama is a tough skin of a tattoo. Pride is an act of remembering. Bus routes are arteries with corpuscles of people. A sigh is a mother praying. Yes, I've placed my love to the wrong lover, opened my arms and held her open sores against my bosom as she lets me know, I'm home. How's my time, buddy? Fantastic. You guys doing okay? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, good deal, good deal. We were talking to the California Poet Laureate, Juan Felipe, just the other day. I've been very blessed to know him personally, along with some other poets in Fresno. And he sent us like five of us. He's really taken under his wing. And he was like, you know what? Talk about the stuff that's really tough to talk about for you. And immediately we're like, oh man, not one of these again. And so the first person that came to my mind, because like most guys, I had daddy issues. And so I wrote a poem about it. And it's called For Death, He Wore a Mustache. And My father passed away horribly, unfortunately, due to drinking, and he had a stroke, and so his left side was just totally gone. It was not useful. And so here's a little piece of that, what I saw the day of his cremation. Again, the title is, "For Death He Wore a Mustache." The person who worked for the crematorium prescribed that while I was in the room with my father, that I prepare myself for the smell and the changes in his looks. Just days ago, I sat there beside him in his white hospital room, his dark face and gaunt body, a deep scowl, looking at me the way he used to when I would get into trouble. "Don't worry, Miss Webster. I'll take care of him stealing in class." The man who would beat the living hell out of my mother in a drunkard's rage when she asked too many questions. Me and my younger siblings if we did anything to his disliking or disturbed his drinking. His shaved head and straw jawline riddled with furrows of malice. The acid tongue spraying every hurtful word he could muster. Visions of his own upbringing. There on that bed, the left side of his worn flesh, slack from a stroke 2 days earlier, sputtering words, loud gibberish at me, his sunken brown eyes radiating anger beneath the hands of a skilled tormentor, my tormentor, in front of me, and I'm burning from the bottom up. My legs, my chest, my jaw, my head, fists clenched. The gut instinct letting loose years of frustration, rejection, and anger, getting the best of me, hatred, begging to be set free from my lips. Years before, in Fresno, his sweaty mass tossing and turning under the sheets like a swimmer drowning, my father had a dream in which he was somebody else that nobody knew in town. Minutes later, the phone jabbered him awake with the news of the dead. My mother had died alone in faraway Porterville, California. Before the overhead hoist began to move the deceased in its cardboard box from the cold, stale room that smelled of slow rot. Before the loud hum of the cremation unit with its rush of flames ready to take another someone. Before the final contents was sifted into a plastic bag and wooden keepsake. I stared at the bloated, splotchy face painted like mine. His remains covered, neck down to his feet in burial cloth, exposing the new growth of inch-long hair on his head and underneath his nose. Face at peace. This wasn't the picture of the man I knew. As if he had gone somewhere else and in his place laid this imposter I had no connection to. I would never receive the closure I so desperately wanted. It was the first time I saw my father with a mustache. The trip up here was fantastic. There was a setting sun. There wasn't too many cars. I had AC/DC playing in the little hatchback. I cannot thank you guys enough for letting me come out here, do my thing for you, and listen to another great poet coming up very soon. Thank you. I'm going to read one more poem, and then I will beat out your hair for the evening. Please, if you like to buy a book, hit me up, $10. They go not only towards me, but I put everything that I earned from my poetry visits back into my show, The Inner Ear and the Beatdown Slam, so we can get more poets out there. So I applaud you for listening. People know about love. Y'all know about love, right? Yeah? Okay. Well, let's flip the script and let's put a negative connotation to it, like voodoo. This one's called voodoo. Like the sweetest taboo, you blew into my world so fresh, so fast, so new. You threw my world askew with your ceremonial dance, making me respond to the boom checka like a boom checka like a beat of your drums. Yeah, yeah, ja, ja, mama, as you chant your mantra. Play the rhythms of ancestors past, possessed by 1, the candles that light up your eyes, 2, the bells that compel the spell, 3, dangling crucifixes of mystic incense that roll with the wind, 4, Ichihana marijuana. That makes it seem all like a dream of the drive-through juju you do. I would have flew, but you had me in the clutches of the whammy. Ha ha, hee hee, cuckoo, voodoo. Secret Santa's in the midnight, voodoo. Dance to the beat of drums under the starlights, voodoo. Recanting spiritual rites and excites me still. So I ask this question to you, whose voodoo do you do?